Bannerlord can be brutal when you're first setting off. The land is swarming with rogues and villains, and it can be hard to figure out how to even get started. Once you're actually in the fight, the enemy is ruthless, and if you're not careful, you can quickly run out of money and resources. Then the next thing you know, your goose is cooked. Well, in this short series, we focus on the early game and share the tips and knowledge of thousands of hours playing Bannerlord in order to help you get off to a great and lucrative start. Buckle up. And there's not much actually for us to attack, right? We actually lack targets here in the Mercenary stage. Ironically, we have swung the balance of power literally in favor of the Southern Empire in the Mercenary stage. You don't normally see that, but this is not your normal Mercenary army. And let's switch sides here, right? There's no loyalty as a Mercenary. You don't give a shit. The only thing you care about is money. And right now, we're not making any money with the Southern Empire because we've killed all the Khazate. So watch how quickly we can do this here, or at least I hope. She's going the wrong direction. We're going to switch sides, and we go in 12 hours here from being Ragea's top mercenary to her worst enemy. Right now, we got to find a Khazate unit here to join, and we need them kind of fast because this city is going to start getting sieged. Of course, we're still suffering deserters. We've talked about that ad nausea. 360 too. The Khazate are desperate because we've helped the Southern Empire beat the crap out of them. So now we can do a siege defense, and let's start an intro right here. I've just been kind of mumbling. Welcome back again, friends, to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. Our YouTube channel is dedicated to all things Bannerlord related, and this is going to be interesting. It's not going to be an easy siege defense by any means because we're not going to control most of the troops or half the troops on the battlefield. There's a huge force of Southern Empire. There's two different armies. We've got a strong army, though, and even though we're having deserters, the benefit of that, we talk about it all the time, and I think we'll try to wait for daylight here, is we're going to enter this siege defense with a lot more troops than a lot of other people on the Mercenary stage, right? They have 50, 60 less troops than us, and that's a huge difference here. So we're hemorrhaging money. We got to pay these guys, so we need some funds here from the Southern Empire. We can pick up these prisoners, and I realize that this is a great opportunity here with Gadush the Greedy, both to have a good siege defense and make a pile of money, right? A gigantic pile of money. Continue to power level his character. I mean, we're going to explode here. And let's, I don't know, I guess control. We could continue to push that so we could try to get the 250 throwing. His engineering, we can continue to fire. And the other good part here is this might be our first really good demonstration of 1.4 Siege. This is a change that we had a direct impact in changing. Before, of course, you're probably used to the enemy routing if you destroy their siege weapons. We've got 3 catapults, or 2 catapults, it looks like. If we can make them rout, we're going to see the new process here for siege. And so here's a good example. We lose 41 troops breaking in. Well, we still have 166. That's more than our base, right? And it's very important that we have those troops here because we're outnumbered almost 5 to 1. So our character's, you know, starting to get pretty potent. His throwing skill is starting to get pretty elite, but I don't think we're going to win this siege with combat. We're going to win this with tactics. This is, gosh, I hope it's, there's a wall configuration on the east that I'm hoping is a certain way here. But we have a bunch of militia here in the early going of a siege. When you're a mercenary in siege, you don't get control of the units, nor do you get the startup process. Guys wonder all the time, how come I don't get to set my units up like you do? In the mercenary stage, you never get that access, even if you're the only one in the castle. So what we're going to do here is set up some defensive lines, put some archers on the rooftops here. This castle is a great castle layout for defense, right? We can put archers here in a big long line because the enemy's going to come up either a siege tower or a siege ladders right there. And then this left side is the more problematic spot, but we're going to have fire catapults, right? I just heard one splash, right? There's a huge explosion. And not only is the enemy going to do some damage, or excuse me, the ally going to do some damage with that initially, we're going to be able to get on and probably destroy some siege weapons here. So I'm in a little bit of a hurry, and of course all my little podlings are in the way. I just want archers to have a presence on that left side for now. We'll just set them up in the courtyard. That way anything coming up the wall there at least takes a lot of arrows in the face. And let's see what we got here for siege weapons. There's a catapult over here. A lot of guys bring up the fact that you can find out where the catapults are just by holding down the Alt button. I get kind of lazy, but I also sort of consider that a marginal cheat. Like, you know, you're using the system that's in play. Maybe not a cheat, but it just seems too easy. You can tell exactly where the catapults are. And these guys are firing it exactly the wrong way, right? There's all kinds of juicy targets here. Although, you know what? Our line of sight here is ass. We're going to try to hit this siege tower on the far side over here, but it's not an easy shot. That's got to be 1,000 meters. And we drilled it. Now, that's a good start. Not only that, we killed a couple of dipshits. So, very difficult here. We've given lots of catapult guides on the channel. We're not going to do it for this battle here, but gosh, I think we might be able to take it out at range. That should hit it too. Bam! Right, 3,100 again. Now, it's not quite down, but it's not going to take much to destroy this siege tower at this stage. And after that, though, I don't have a lot of targets. We're probably just going to have to throw fireballs. Because of the angle of the catapult here, bam! 3 shots in a row. I'd say I'm really good at this, but mostly I just play too much. I've got this little posse of infantry with me. I like to keep some guys around me in castle defense. We don't have any RTS mod. We don't have any mods, right? This is Bannerlord 1.4. Should have mentioned that at the outset. And that means if our character goes down, the siege is lost for sure. You can see the power bar. It looks disastrous. Now, our character here used to be a bow character. I say used to be because it's so easy to level up your throwing in Bannerlord now. We're just going to rain these fire pots down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let my little serfs here, my little troops. I got a couple of troops and a couple of decent nautes with me, nautes, and we're just going to let those guys wind the winch. And then as soon as they load it and aim, I will jump in, take the shot, tell everybody I'm the hero of we're going to do some Napoleonic-like shit, right? Let General Kellerman come to the decisive charge at the battle of Marengo, and then we're going to write up some propaganda here telling everybody how badass we did. See, the AI will aim it pretty reasonable. I'm not even aiming it. I'm just getting on, jumping on it and firing, and a lot of times, of course, they aim it pretty well. They'll aim it better than you against troops a lot of the time. You know, unless it's right in front of you. And we're gaining levels. This is orgasmic for your player, right? This is practically sexual. Huge splashes. We got another fire catapult over there, wrecking shop. And this force is getting obliterated. Now, that brings up a point that I probably should have talked about more. In previous versions of Bannerlord, in other words, 1.35 or whatever, anything previous to 1.4, if the enemy was battered badly enough and or you destroyed some of their siege weapons, in other words, if the kill ratio was really high, they would rout. And that entire force would be captured. All of them would go straight to your prisoner pool, even if it was unrealistic, right? If 1,000 routed and you had 200 troops, they instantly all go to jail as if they raise their hand and say, I would like to be captured, right? There's no realism to that at all. However, in 1.4, that has changed, and I won't tell you the other YouTuber, but there's a couple of us in the Tail World's content creator Discord, where they basically ask us for fixes and improvements and stuff like that, and this is one of the changes we suggested, that the enemy properly retreats, regroups, builds siege weapons, builds more siege towers, and makes another attempt at it. The same thing that you would do if you were at a castle and the enemy was kicking your ass and they destroyed your siege weapons. You wouldn't just surrender. And here, we're going to find out early on here because they've already routed. And I'm glad I got that, explanation in, because right now, with previous versions of Bannerlord, the battle is over. Now, there's probably 10% or whatever, some percentage of people that like this, or that like the old way, right? They easily win a huge battle, collect all the loot. Regea is taken prisoner, the whole 9 yards, but I think this change is very much welcomed by the majority of players. And our character is over 250 throwing, just like that, right? 280 throwing. And here we go, right? Even though we plundered 60,000 gold, I presume we take it out of the pockets of the guys that are killed on the walls, do a little bit of necrophilia. I guess maybe we're not doing that shit, but there go the censors again. But here they go, right? The Southern Empire is not diminished, right? They're diminished, but they're not defeated, right? They're down 300 or 400 troops, and they're coming back for more. They're building siege weapons, so You get round 2, and I think this is great, right? This is going to create long sieges too, especially if it's a huge force. And presumably, we're going to get ground down here. Other players are going to get ground down by a relentless enemy. Maybe more forces will come. Maybe our ally will come and attack them. It creates a huge new dynamic within the game here. And unfortunately for the enemy here, we have defeated them in the engineering stage here. We have more catapults, and they launched the attack. Now they have a lot of troops here, and the other thing to remember is our garrison and militia did take a beating in that first battle. Our troops weren't on the wall, but the AI was, and so we have a lot less supporting cast here for the second round. There might even be a third siege here, so strap yourself in. This could even be like an epic siege. And like I said, I think this change should be very welcomed by the vast majority of players. It's a lot more realistic, right? So see what we do here. I guess if we get defeated, I'll be like, I hate this change. It's terrible, right? I want my easy game. Now, I've actually recommended another improvement, and we'll see if Tail Worlds rolls with it. What I've recommended is that the AI, especially on like the hardest difficulty, builds a bunch of trebuchets, puts them in reserve, and then blows your counter siege out of the water, because that's what players do. It would not be hard for the AI to do it, right? You know, Regea's got some better engineering skill than this dumbass with this bad helmet. And what that would do is it would enable the AI to routinely blow holes and destroy your siege weapons in siege. And it would create a vast new difficult element in defensive siege. The bottom line is, on some level, you know, the guys who are out here sort of finagling the system, Strat Gaming Guide, our channel, some others that are teaching siege defense, have enabled you know, the player who comes and learns these guides to just crush everything in sight. And siege defense, you know, while it's glorious the first 10 times or whatever, then it's kind of boring. Some of the joy is taken from it because it's almost automatic. In most situations, you're going to be able to defend, especially if you have a fire catapult, especially if you're following our guides on character specs. So I've got my posse here. Let's back them up a little bit. But this is a little different animal here, right? It's a very different animal already. We still may lose this, so I can't hit that ram, I think. We'll try to hit it, but I do have a juicy clump of troops here. It would be nice if the troops, after they got hit by a couple fire catapults, started spreading out and acting like real people. Nobody would just stand there over and over again. Well, I can't say nobody. Like, that's what they did in the World War I and in the American Civil Wars. They just stood there shooting at each other. No one tried to move. They would just get obliterated by howitzers and by the early cannons and stuff like that. And that's on the lowest setting here, so I can't take our fire catapult. Come on, hit it, baby. No, I can't hit this ram. I can't get any closer with my aim, so I can't even kill the troops. Now, this one on the left here, we can probably destroy with fire catapults. This is another change. I have recommended they change it. Maybe some guys out there are like, quit making the game so hard, you asshole. What I'm going to suggest, what I've already suggested kind of informally, is that they make thrown fire catapults 1/5 or less of the normal damage. Right now, a thrown fire catapult by a guy who's got good throwing skill does almost as much damage as a fire catapult being shot at it. That doesn't make any sense to me. The velocity, the physics effect. If you actually had like a flaming Greek fire type of object, you would be causing it 10 times or 100 times more damage than your little piddly tricep power could do. And this is maybe not realistic as well. We got high throwing skill now, and so our guy can rain fireballs at the enemy. I also observed the fire catapults going a long ways. If you didn't know that, you actually get all of the skill point improvements in siege, right, in a battle. So if in a battle you gain 100 points of two-handed skill, by the end of that siege, you'll notice your character swinging faster, right? It improves on the fly, literally real time. Now, you don't get the perks, right? You still have to go in and assign the perks. And I got a bit of a problem here. I don't know if we're going to be able to fix this. We were not able to destroy. See here, I'm gonna have to get fancy with defense here. I was not able to destroy that siege tower. I don't have any infantry to borrow, so let's get creative here. I know this castle. I know most of the castles in Bannerlord. This is a choke point here. This stairway leads to a big long ramp where the archers have some of the best line of sight of any castle in the game. Wait till you see this firing squad. I'm going to drag a couple archer divisions up here. I wish I had my horse. But at least our character doesn't skip leg day now, right? He's ripping around the battlefield. Watch this. Look at this. There's like 35 archers there, and we can put another 30 archers up on this top ramp. And it's going to work beautifully for a little while on this left side. The gate is very much in question. 28 more archers here. And now we can go make sure that the gate is secure. Now that won't hold forever there on that left side, but that's going to be pretty successful. You can see this looks pretty good here. I've got about 25 archers there. In fact, we have a lot of archers here. They're coming up the stairs, and there's a bunch of naked militia up there trying to defend with their scythe and their sickle. But if they have archer support, they'll do just fine. Right now, the gate is the problem. I see about 15 terrified Kazate militia down there. I can see from here their shields are shaking. These guys are all terrified. We're still going to be able to throw rocks here, and we're doing major damage before the enemy gets in, but when that door bursts, we're going to have problems. It just broke open. And this is great, man. I'm a veteran of a lot of siege, right? I'll say 1,000 sieges is pretty realistic. I got a little dipshit here throwing rocks, and I can't pick these fucking rocks up very easily. Come on, baby. It's really giving me a hard time here. I got this guy in my way. Out of my way, you little podling. I don't know why it's so fun to beat the shit out of out of militia. Looks like he got hit with a javelin or something like that. He cratered into the gatehouse. We did some good damage there. We've got a fire catapult right here. I didn't notice this earlier. Well, we're going to take advantage of this for sure, right? It's definitely fire catapult the clock. We got 4 or 5 of them right here. The ladder here is clear, right? So that left side is very worrying, but I've got to get another 1 or 2 of these Greek fire chucked into the gatehouse. You know, if you use the alt button, though, you get a little cheat code. There's only 30 troops right here. I found that out by just holding the alt button, and we just killed most of them, right? Or a lot of them. So this center side suddenly, center right we'll call it, is no longer a major threat either, right? What we got to do is we have to figure out that siege tower on that far side. That siege tower that we couldn't destroy is now a big problem. I think we can probably hit it from here. I'm not sure. There's a bunch of troops up there. Come on, baby. What we could probably do is throw it, but do you see all that purple? Oh, shit. Oh, we just blew up our protective wall here. We could probably throw it, but there's all kinds of troops that are on the walls. So this is very much a question mark still. Stick to me. And I think we're going to have a problem on this left side. Now, look at our archers, right? There's 43 archers there. I did borrow a few and moved them to the front gate. We can probably bring them back, but look at them firing. What that tells you is that the enemy is starting to move up. Shit. Let's see if our blockade here works. It'll be right in front of us. Okay, they haven't started coming in yet. That's good. 217. See, they have a lot of troops over here coming up the siege tower, and there's a horde of them on the walls. Damn, I don't think we can hit that siege tower. I got any little thing hits me here. We got, come on, baby. Oh, we're going to make it. Come on. Aim, aim, aim. Did we get it? We got it, but it didn't break. Oh, shit. It has the tiniest sliver? Well, you know how to handle that, right? One javelin throw takes it down. Now it's time to get to our defensive spot here. These troops are going to charge. We've got some infantry here. We need to bring these guys over to the other division. We got to move. Javelins are flying. All right, come on, boys. We got like 15 there. Let's compact everybody into a nice square. We've got our firing squad right here, and now you just hope it's enough. What else can I pull here? Probably not much. Maybe an archer division. The music ramps up. I'm getting stressed, and this is going to be a challenge. There's going to be a bunch. They're charging because their siege weapon is destroyed. And here our archers go firing away, right? Here they come. That's not terrible. That's like 50. All right, that square's barely holding out, but look at them being plowed by archers. They're getting shot in the back because of our blockade here. That is beautiful. Have another one, you bitches. We got them. There's like 10 archers there. They're going to hold out. Now I got to get to the gate. There's some nasty infantry in here. But they just got shot to death. How beautiful is that? All right, let's get to the gate. I can borrow I could take one of those archer divisions here. In fact, now we got to get back to the gate. I knew this was going to be a challenge, but that's what we're here for, right? This is going to be great. Come on, boys. We don't need any protection on the left side anymore, right? The left side is cleared. The siege tower is destroyed. The enemy won't come up there, right? So now it's just a gate, and you hear yelling and screaming. We can leave one division of archers up there in case we need to make a last stand. They can still shoot. Let's bring the division that can't shoot. This looks good. There's not a huge breach at the gate, and we still have our archers lined up. It's the gate, though, that we got to protect. It looks like those same quivering 20 or 30 militias there. We're lucky that the enemy doesn't have 200 troops at the gate, because it would be blown open right now. I think we got this. In fact, amazingly, I hear crickets. The enemy's sleeping on this siege, and they're starting to trickle in the gate, but it's a trickle and not a huge flood. And we got militia in the gatehouse. Come on, baby, we got it. We got a catapult right there. I'm trying to get archers. I've got one other archer division following me here. I want some savage crossfire at the gate. This will do right here. Let's get that square placed down there, and archers straight across here. It's another nasty angle. All right, where's this catapult? Right, we got a catapult fire. Yeah, that looks good. That looks good. And the enemy just routed again. Oh, baby. All right, so stressful, but fun, right? The enemy pressed us a bit there. I think if we didn't destroy that siege tower on the left, we were not going to win, right? Our troops, we won, but we did suffer 180 losses. So it's a war of attrition here, and this is very much historically accurate so far. My toes are curling because this is great. Now, it's still too big of a force for us to sally out or do anything other than to hunker down. You got no choice, and they are healing. Man, this is nasty. If another force comes right now, we're going to get cooked. We just don't have a lot of troops. Of course, our total troop number is going down by the minute, by the battle. The militia is down to 35, so we're really on our own here. And the longer that they heal is a problem right now. That's what I mean. They're building one trebuchet at a time, and we're able to destroy it. So that's not good. In fact, let's do these. Let's do some perks to help our guy here, Gadouche the Greedy. And I think we've gained like 4 or 5 levels in this one siege so far, this extended siege. 300 throwing, 325 athleticism. I don't think this campaign is 1 year old. It looks like summer 6. It's barely 1 year old, and we're rich, and we have so much loot. This might be one of our fastest fast plays so far. Just trying to get rich, and it's worked. Of course, we went as a mercenary as soon as we were eligible, and just aggressively taking chances. Now we've got a lot more troops here on the battlefield to start, and that's because the enemy is diminished, our allies diminished, right? Our force is still, I don't want to say it's untouched, but we probably have 20 casualties, 15 casualties since the siege started. I'm trying to remember. I think we had 160. If that was the case, then we've had like 5 casualties, which would be amazing. Let's get another firing squad right here. Same thing applies, right? It's a little repetitive, but every siege has been different too, right? One time they had our fire catapult in a different location. We've got 22 guys in a square down there, and I want like a solid level of archers here. Damn it, I fell off. But I don't want to put too many archers here just yet. That left side concerns me a lot more than the gate, at least right now, right? We've got a long approach for the enemy's ram to get up to the city, right? The whole idea is that they retreat, and then they have to build a new ram or whatever, right? They have to build new siege equipment. Presumably our troops break it down and turn it into more houses or whatever. Very much realistic, right? An enemy would retreat, and they would lead their siege ship. When you follow battles like in the medieval or even ancient period, after a battle, they would capture X amount of this and X amount of that, right? They would capture all these resources, and the enemy would have to bring up more cannon or more trebuchets or whatever it was. I think that's great. So we have a catapult here, and it seems like it's a fire catapult, so a little bit deja vu, but it's also, it means we can't hit this ram. Now we can hit this big pocket of troops. Of course, you guys can leave feedback. I guess, you know, the ultimate bottom line here is that Tailworlds didn't make this game for me. They made it for you guys, right? They made it for the tens of thousands of players that love Bannerlord and play it regularly. If you don't like these changes, or if you want to see other changes made, right? It's definitely a good episode, a good video to put your thoughts in the comments. They have proven over and over again that they are listening to us, that they understand that a lot of us active content makers are effectively the voice of all the different people playing, because they don't want 50,000 people screaming at them. They want, you know, 10, 12, 15 liaisons. We'll use some French terms here. A liaison, basically somebody who's compiling the different voices of the players, the different people who come to our channel and say, I wish this was the case, I wish that was the case, right? And then if I see a lot of that and it makes sense, I'll suggest it to them, right? And of course, sometimes they're not going to make the changes, but other times this is basically directly from our feedback. I think that's amazing. It shows that Tailworlds is, you know, a pretty enlightened, connected game developer. Right? The gamers are the ones that matter. It's amazing. It's basically democracy. So, game's not perfect, but every single patch, it's a lot better. We may indeed have a perfect game here, or maybe Bannerlord 3 will be literally perfect. So, don't forget to leave feedback, right? Both with me and with your other content creators that you watch, whether you're a fan of the silky smooth voice of Resonant or whatever it is, right? Make sure that you talk through us, right? Use us as your microphone. All right, well, that ram is a problem, but we're going to be able to rain holy hell down on the guys here on the left coming up with the ladders. How come they're taking so long? Oh, I know what's going on here. Because the ram has such a long approach, normally in a siege like this, the guys on the siege ladders here to our left would already be coming up here, but because the siege ram has such a long approach here, it's winding its way up the valley. These guys on the left are not going to charge until that ram hits the door. It's a timed event. It's actually really good AI, because what the AI does here is it applies all the pressure at the same time. Instead of coming up and letting me flame them right now and run over to the gate and then flaming those guys and throwing rocks, they're waiting here until the ram hits the door. I imagine they're about to start charging over here. I don't actually see a lot of troops, but there's quite a few behind the barriers there that maybe I can't really see. And man, it'll be gnarly if we get captured here, and here they come, and we're out of fire. We're out of fire catapults, so we got a problem here. I need to go too. I got to get to the gate. The gate is a bigger priority than here, right? We've got a lot of archers here, and the good news is troops coming up a ladder are actually smoked, at least for a while. By this is like too many archers, but it's essential. We've got 6 or 7 dudes with the bathrobe guarding this side of the city, guarding this side of the castle. So the gate is the priority. We've got that left side hemmed up pretty good. And this is, you know, one of your top 6 castles, 5 castles in the whole game to defend. I mean, we're basically, the enemy's throwing everything they got at us here, and I don't think they can win this right now. It helps that we have this elite force, right? This is great because this episode is going to be a 2-for-1. We're going to be able to include this as basically a new look at the new beta siege system, and it's also going to function. Shit, they got a lot of troops coming through the gate this time. We're going to have to close off the flank attack here. Let's see, I can get archers split and move to our right. Our square here is here, though. 20 guys, and they're tough, right? We've got 6, 7 dark hands in there. This episode, though, is also going to function as another one of our episodes of Get Rich or Die Trying, right? This will be perfect because it'll show one of these multi-stage siege process here. We might have a whole nother siege still, which would be crazy. But again, the enemy doesn't get captured here. Even if they rout, they don't just all lay down their arms and let you capture them. Right? So for some players, it might be a little bit repetitive, kind of like the shipboard battles, where you end up having 3 or 4 shipboard battles instead of one battle and then the enemy's captured. But I think this is absolutely fantastic, right? We're getting worn down here, and it looks like we're maybe a half hour into this. You know? So if you're in a hurry, maybe you won't like these options. But like I said, I think it's terrific. Now, I don't think we have any more rocks here. We might have a catapult or 2 to fire. This side is good too, right? So I'm only worried about the gate. And it's going to add a whole nother layer into thought process with Siege. It's also going to really encourage players to not neglect that engineering skill. If they do accept that kind of a change, where the AI is a lot more diabolical, maybe at the higher difficulties with their trebuchets, this game's going to be fucking hard, right? If Regalia comes up here and blows holes consistently in the walls of the castle, or maybe it's triggered after they lose the initial siege, right? They get repulsed initially, and then they spend a lot more time in the next 4 or 5 days dwindling down your forces, using siege to blow up your counter siege, right? They could destroy all our catapults here. You know how much harder this battle is without fire catapults? This would be way harder. And these are archers charging. This is not going to work for them. It looks like most of the Southern Empire forces that are left are archers. I mean, there's a bunch of them, but I don't think that's going to work, right? We've got a firing squad waiting these guys. As soon as they come through that door, it's going to be melt and archer day. Just like, you know, take your kid to school or take your kid to work day. This is going to be take your archer to melting pot day here. These guys are going to get blasted on the walls. Our square's still in place. That left side, we've got protection. Tons of archers melting everything here. And this siege is over. I can already tell you they're going to have to rout here again. And maybe this will be it. Maybe they'll just charge. And that might be something they can program. After 3 or 4 attempts, the AI either abandons the siege or they just make an all-out charge to the death, right? That realistically, historically realistic would be the first of those two where they just leave. But that might be anticlimactic to players. You know, we don't want perfect realism in there. Don't forget, perfect realism would be battles where 2/3 of the force in a typical battle runs away. Both sides would run away. Or more accurately, they would call it a day. Almost like halftime of a sporting event. If you don't know much about historical warfare, full massacres where the whole enemy force was defeated was extremely rare. Usually, they were either people who surrendered or there were large amounts of troops that would simply leave. They would retreat. Why? Because it's human nature. They're just going to throw their life away for some pompous emperor or whoever. They're trying to go back to their 16-hour workdays and no union rights. All right, those archers are cooked over there. Let's start sallying out here, right? And I think they just routed. They did just rout, right? Although, what do we have going on here? This guy's shooting. I think some troops routed. These guys are definitely not routing. This guy's fighting to the death. Interesting. So they're close to one of their divisions at least routed. I can see him running off into the dust. And this guy, I need help here. This guy's beating my ass. Those archers are not routing either. They're shooting our troops in the gate. Let's have those guys freeze. Let's get some archers on this wall here. We can pound these guys from behind. That's what she said. Let's get archers right there. And now they're running. All right. All right. Well, round 3 goes to the defender. 3 in a row here, and they're starting to get massacred on the way out. Right here, these guys are trapped. The game system probably can't handle them going down the ladder. Guys going up the ladder, they would all get stuck. And so it's just making them climb the ladder and then rout. You kill as many here as you can, right? Because then you don't have to face them in the next battle. And of course, you could just... we could end the battle anytime here. Another 100 losses, right? We are getting worn down too, so this is wild, right? Another round here, but the enemy has to be bedraggled too, right? They've got to be down to 200, 300, 170. Wait a minute here. Yeah, we attack. I think we can handle this. Most of our good troops are up. 35 Sergeant Crossbill. Now, what routed there? I saw a lot of archers routing there, so this force is probably going to have... and they do. They have an archer-heavy army, but you know what? We've got better archers, so we have better tactics. Come with us, Empress. We've got some feathers for you. It's pretty ironic here, right? We were literally fighting for Regalia 12 hours ago, but that was also historically accurate. Your mercenary forces didn't give a shit about loyalty, and nobody was upset about that, right? They would join the Holy Roman Empire 1 year. Next year, they would fight for the Merchants Guilds, and the next year, they would fight for the Hanseatic League or whatever it was. And nobody had a problem with that because that was their role. They were mercenaries. Everybody knew that they were just free agents, and if you didn't pay them enough, they would be on the other side. Now, there might be some bad blood. I'm not saying there was never bad blood about that, but I like that aspect. that you can just immediately leave. I think it should damage your reputation, or more accurately, should damage your relations with them, right? We literally, and we betrayed her overnight here, right? We were fighting 1 minute for the Empress, literally like 1 minute or 1 hour before the Empress. She's sieging, and then we turned around and defended this siege, and now we're going to capture her, right? Throw a javelin between the eyes. And this force is fucked. They're playing defensive here, but they have too tight a formation. We've got 118 archers, so it's probably 2 people watching at this stage, but we're going to play this episode all the way out. This is going to be part of the Get Rich or Die Trying series. And I had an original goal to get 500,000 gold in the first year, right? This is vanilla Bannerlord on the hardest difficulty, and try to make 500,000 dinars within 1 year. We have way more than that, right? Not only do we have 1 million in cash, but our mercenary contract is going to go ballistic. Oh, we're getting 370 or something from the Kazate per influence. We're going to have like a couple hundred influence, and don't forget all the prisoners here, right? We're going to have hundreds of prisoners to deposit into this castle. We're still at the castle, right? We're sallying out right now, but the only reason we're doing that is to drag the Empress back in chains to the castle that she tried to siege. And man, my javelin throwing needs some work here. Sometimes I don't know how to explain it. I just can't throw javelins, and other days I get people saying it looks like a cheat code because we're just killing everything on sight. Well, this is actually, that's probably good, because it shows we're clearly not using cheat codes when it doesn't it's not working very well, is it? And then you can just chuck it into the thickest pile of the troops here. And these troops are scorched. They're way too compacted. We talked about this during our tactics episodes. The AI has formations that are designed to defeat cavalry. That formation there is very well designed to defeat cavalry, and extremely dead to an archer heavy assault like we have here. Our archers are spread out all over the place, and they are just simply being pounded by a higher concentrated rate of fire. We also probably have better archers. This mercenary force is an absolute behemoth. I think this is probably going to be the last episode of this Get Rich or Die Trying series. I guess we could have like one more mic drop session, but we might be like clan tier 4 here soon. Like, we have been absolutely power leveling with this force. Heavy and skirmishers and archers, of course, Imperial based. And even though our Gadouche the Greedy guy, I've intentionally tried to make him look like a douche, an absolute donkey, his force is legendary, right? We have a wrecked shop with this character. And now he's got like 300 athleticism, 300 throwing skill. We're still riding around on our little town pony here, and he's racing around because we have high riding skill as well. I guess it's time for some equipment upgrades as this force gets exterminated. And I didn't see the Empress, but she was here, right? So we're gonna, if not capture her, at least she's gonna be fugitive. And then we collect all the riches, right? To the victor go the spoils. This is gonna be fascinating to see how much money we have here. I just looked down. We are a little bit past the 1 year mark, but I'm just gonna round down and call it, this is 1 year of Bannerlord. And a pretty extreme example of what is possible, right? We're level 27 or higher, right? 98% of the loot goes to us. And here come the prisoners, right? There's going to be 6, 7, 8 prisoners here, because this is where you capture them all. They were all hiding behind their retinues, trying to get back to their castles. And look at this shit. It's like every major Imperial lord in their whole kingdom, including the Empress. And she looks tired. She looks defeated. That's what she looks like. She needs a little makeup refresher there. And more troops. We have more troops now than when we started. And we have 890 prisoners. It's just Bannerlord ecstasy here. A giant pile of loot. And we barely care about it at this stage, right? We have so much loot. Every city we go to, we're just going to be able to sell it to the maximum. And we're making 10,000, but don't forget, we still have these prisoners, right? You want to see our influence take off here. We have 175 right now. I bet we get 100, 150 influence for this. 67. And we want to do just the high-end troops here, right? You can usually just do whole bundles here, although, oops. Sorry about that. Just take a second here. They can only take 196. So what do you do here, right? You do your highest tiered troops, your highest tiered prisoners, and just do clumps of them until you get to 196. Look at it. We're already over 100 influence, right? Just, it's going to be over 200. It's insane, right? 370. This here alone, this is 90 grand or more. Right, we get 360. Yeah, it's like 95 grand, something like that. Oops, one too many guys here. Let's fix this. And this is a good spot to end this episode and maybe this series, right? Maybe I'll roll around a little bit and see what kind of other audacious shit we can try. Our character, our clan tier, our army here are just to the moon. That's easily 200,000 in influence we just gained. Amazingly, our force here is so heavy that I feel like I can just dump a bunch of troops in the garrison. We had that whole battle and our army basically is unfazed, is not even slowed down a little bit. It's pretty lethal. And then just a huge pile of perks here. Look at this shit. Just our character's 28, level 28 within a year of Bannerlord. So I don't know. I don't know if I've ever had a campaign that ripped along this fast, and I'm glad that I captured a lot of this for this series, right? This Get Rich or Die Trying series, this was all done in an afternoon. I did this in 3 or 4 hours. This character is already a beast. And we could easily be a vassal at this stage too, right? And what's happening here? Oh, shit. Let me reorient the map here so we're not all confused. And let's wrap this episode up. Of course, I appreciate you watching. If you're still watching to this stage, I heartily appreciate you, friend. I give you a virtual hug. Thanks for following our series, following the channel. Thanks for tuning into this episode. If you liked what you saw here, please hit that like button. It helps more players find this approach to Bannerlord. Make sure we're on the hardest difficulty, because sometimes people say we're not. On the way out, of course, if you want to see more, you could subscribe. Thanks for watching again, friends, and we will see you next time.